I am recording, so you're recording future generations to listen to and go, what a great last day of.
I know,
Okay,
right?
let's do. Thank you, Daisy. for that. Let's just talk through a few answers just to check that you're all good. So remember, what we could do is write it as 5/1. And then we've done multiply the top, so that would be 1 times 5 divided by 3 times 1. That's what we've done. But actually, what this sheet is hoping you'll recognise by using the words is saying, if I've got 2/5 of 6, well, it's the same thing as having 6 lots of 2/5. And 6 times 2/5 is 12/5. So we can just think of it like that as well. So that makes it this sheet nice and simple. So 5 lots of a third is 5/3. 7 lots of a fifth is 7/5. 8 lots of 1/7
Is
8/7. 4 lots of 2/3 or 2/3 of 4 is 8/3. Now, let me just ask you, can we convert 8/3 into a mixed number, please?
Okay.
Can everyone think about that? Some of you are just, because Amara's put his hand up so straight away, some of you are like, oh good, I don't have to think about this now. But you do. Can we work out, please, who can tell me what 8/3 is as a mixed number? I've got Mia can as well. Pardon? Write it down. Write it down yourself. What we say then is how many, if we've split something into thirds, how many of them make a whole one? Right? 3. 3/3 make up a whole one. So what we've got to do, out of the 8/3 we have, how many can I take out to make ones? Well, I've got 3/3, that's dealt with 3 of them, and another 3/3, that's 6/3, and then I'm left with 2 left over. 3 is 6, 7, and 8. That leaves me with 3/3 and 3/3 is 2 whole ones and 2/3. Okay. Now, let's just think about what that means quickly. What that means, does it make sense? Is 2/3 of 4 2 and 2/3? Does that make sense? Why?
Because it's how much times 8.
Yeah, but what you're doing is you're saying it makes sense because I did the multiplication, right? But what I'm after, can we think of, does it make sense that 2/3 of 4 is 2 and 2/3? Give me one reason why it does make sense.
I think it makes sense because 3 goes into 8 2 times, and you have a
Again, you're just listing the maths again. We know we're happy with the maths, that's what we did. What I'm trying to get you with the criterion D is, does my answer make sense? And you guys are so used to writing, yes, my answer makes sense because I did the multiplication. What if doing the multiplication gives you an answer that doesn't make sense? Alright? Now it's as simple for me as 2/3 of 4 should be more or less than 4.
Yeah.
Why?
It's oh no, well, because it's like less, and it's a fraction of.
Yeah. 2/3 of 4 means you split 4 into how many pieces? 3. 3 pieces. And you only took 2 of them. So you should have less than you started with, yeah? So is 2 and 2/3 less than 4?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think just from that, my answer makes sense. So we need to learn that process of thinking, answer making sense is not just I did the right maths, because I was just showing down here, because they're super keen, about algebraic fractions that we're doing like M4 and M5, and often we end up with answers that are correct mathematically but don't make sense to use in the real world scenario that we're using. So yes, the answer is correct, but does it make sense? So it's a different process. I know, we get the idea? What's this one? 11, 6. What, move down to these ones then. What is 6 times 4 ninths? Daisy.
Uh, 24.
24 ninths. Good. Can that be simplified, anyone?
Why do we? Okay. Yeah, there's not. Let me just turn back. Yeah.
What can divide by 20, can divide into 24 and divide into
3.
3? So if we divide, but that's a hard one by the way, 24. Remembering that you can divide 24 into 3 is not forgotten. So that would be 8 thirds again. Alright. Moving on then.
Yeah.
Right. This one shows you what we were doing before, cancelling the common factor thing. Before, alright, before we do the multiplication. So to start with, okay, this is where we were at before. You with me, just zone. You good?
Yeah.
Pen in your hand? Good? Alright, so you can see with this example, look, we've got 2 thirds times 1/2. We've written it as 2 times 1 divided by 3 times 2. Are you good with that? The 2 and the 2, they've just crossed out, but we know they don't just disappear. What does it become? Remember? 1. Good. The 2 and the 2 become 1 times whatever's left. Yeah? So it becomes 1/3. Okay. Question 3. We've got the same thing. The 2 and the 2 cancel to become 1 times. Yeah. And we're left with the 1 and the 7. So it becomes, the answer is 1/7. Okay, I'm going to do one more with you. 5 with you. So I'm going to write it as, what's on this line? 1 times 3, 6 times 4. Now this time, we don't have the same number top and bottom, but which numbers have the common factor? 3 and 6. So if I divide that by 3, I get left with a 1, and down here I get left with a 2. So then it becomes 1 times 1 is 1, 2 times 4 is 8. Because I've divided, just in case anyone didn't realise, I can divide 3 and 6 by 3. Gets the common factor.
This one is.
Yes. And that's simplified. As long as you took all of the common factors out before you do the multiplication, your answer should not simplify anymore. Yeah, so that's simplifying before you do the calculation. Now, what might happen in the future is you might simplify before but not spot everything. And then you get your answer and you go, oh, but my answer can be simplified as well. But you'll find it's easier because you've already done some of the simplifying, the numbers will be small. Okay. So that's what this sheet does. Would anyone like me to do? These ones are the same before, right?
It's just a second and second.
Yeah, it's the same as the other sheet. So we probably skip those ones and you just carry. So we could probably skip 2, 4, and 6 and 8. If you've already know, it's fine. But if you've not quite got to that point, oh, actually, oh no, I tell you what, they are slightly different, aren't they? Because this one, actually, I think this one is one where it would be. No, I didn't know. They're not simplifying, are they? They're just writing out. I think you could. So I want you to do all of this side and these ones. So you can forget about 2, 4, 6, and 8, but you can do the rest. Sheet. This is where I want you to be today. Okay? At minimum, ready for doing division of fractions tomorrow. Division, it's nice and easy. So in this one, look. I'm still recording. Notice this one, those numbers are the same. These two are the same. And this one, they're not the same, but they do have the same common factor. So this is a divide by 3 and a divide by 3. Now, really, because these are the same, no, we've divided 3 by 3 and 6 by 3. So I look at yes, there is. Then I've got 1 times 1 and 2 times 4. Yeah. And 1 times. Now, it's like I'm saying, here's this one. Remember, if I divide by, let's do this slightly different. So if I've got 1 times 2 and 2 times 7, if I divide that by 2 and divide that by 2, what do they become? 1 and 1, yeah? They don't just disappear. It's not, so then it becomes 1 times 1 is 1, and 1 times 7 is 7. This one's the same, look, division by, I've divided by 2, I'm not just crossing it out, it doesn't just disappear. I'm finding a common factor, which is 2. 2 divided by 2 is 1, so I then do 1 times 1, divided by 2 is 1, 1 times 7 is 7. This one, this time I didn't have the same. If we look at 7, for instance, I'm going to do 3 times 4 and 4 times 5. Is there a number that has the same factor? So I'm going to divide that by 4, and that makes it a 1. And this one I divide by 4, makes it a 1. Now I'm going to do 3 times 1 and 1 times 5. And again, 3 fifths. Now this one, slightly different. I'm going to do it over here this time. So what can I do? 5 and 7, none of them seem to have any common factors, but then I notice that 4 and 6 can both be divided by what? 2. So if I divide that by 2, and I divide that by 2, what do I get? 4 divided by 2 is 2, and 6 divided by 2 is, so this becomes, so that would be a 2 now, this would be a 3, so it becomes 2 times 5 and 7 times 5. You can, but we're learning how to do it beforehand. Remember before I said, sometimes when we figure out a factor of nice small numbers, it's easier to do. If I end up with big numbers, it might be harder for me to actually do. So it's good to be able to do all I've done. It makes the calculation easier, because that's then 10 times 21. Now, just to show you why, on another sheet there.
So,
So you simplify, then multiply to get your answer. Now you'll see why, but what happens if we get three fractions? We could do 3 times 2 times 4 and then work out the answer, and then 5 times 2 times 3, and then try to simplify the answer. But the numbers might be bigger, so it's good to be able to simplify the first. If there's only one on the top, yes. You only cancel top and bottom because they don't just disappear, they become one. Don't they? So sounds like a something. But 3 divided, remember the sign. So 3 divided by 3 is 1. So I'm going to replace that and that with 1 times, and then it becomes 2 times 4 over 5 times 3. Now, is there anything else I could cancel? No. So it becomes 8 over 15. Because multiplying by 1 doesn't change. Depends if you need to explain.
Question.
So what we hopefully notice, this one, yeah? What we're hopefully noticing is that I could just do 3 times 4 and 4 times 5 and get the answer. Let me, I'm going to rewrite this. What I can see, Daisy, is that the 3 times 4, that could be just 12, yeah? And 4 times 5 could be 20. I could do that. What we're going to try and do is simplify it first. So the 4 and the 4, I notice, have a common factor, let's say number. What's the common factor of 4 and 4? 4. Okay? I'm going to divide that 4 by 4. And I'm also going to divide that 4 by 4, because they both can divide by 4. What do I get if I do 4 divided by 4?
Oh, 1.
1. And what's 4 divided by 4 here? 1. So my question now becomes, instead of 3 times 4, it becomes 3 times 1. But only because underneath I've now got 1 times 5.
I get it.
And then, so this is what Zoe was asking, I simplify it, and now I can do the multiplication, which will become 3 fifths. Now before it was going to be 12 20ths.
I see it.